let's do Guitar of the Week. Somebody sent me a funny email. They said, a lot of your guitars of the week, it's like a PRS hollow body and a frameless hollow body. I'm like, uh-huh. And they go, and then the Texas Toast guitar. I'm like, uh-huh. You know, you should do your more, your other style of guitars. And I thought, okay. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to do this Strandberg. Look at this. This is a 7-string. Look at that top. Isn't that gorgeous? So this is a Strandberg Boden 7. I think it's the NX7, I believe. And this is a beautiful instrument, and it's a little bit unique because we talked about the fact that now Strandberg has some new, more obtainable guitars that are about $1,000 that have the Enduro neck, but they don't have the fan fret system. And I talked about my concerns with that. I still have those concerns, by the way. So I'm going to talk about this guitar, show it to you, and so let's get into it. So this guitar, if you're not familiar with it, besides looking like a puzzle piece that you've been missing for the last 3 weeks to finish your puzzle, which I love, is extremely light. This one is like 5 pounds flat. Okay, so it's nothing. These are semi-hollow. They're chambered out. And you have Fishman Fluence pickups in there. And then so what that happens is you have the voicing control. So on the volume, if we pull up on it, you get 2 different voices. You get a modern humbucker and then a more of a classic humbucker. So think like more of a modern JB, super distortions, think like that, modern pickups. You pull this, you get more of a PAF style pickup. Then on your tone control, you pull up, you get the coil split. You get a 3-way switch. You get their tremolo system, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it stays in tune. It's just not my favorite thing. I didn't request this guitar to be sent out for its tremolo system. I wanted to try out the 7-string. It's got stainless steel frets. It's this is a phenolic resin fretboard, I believe. So it's man-made material, abonial. What do they call it? They call it Richlite. So, and I'm sure maybe Richlite's technology is a little bit different, and it's maybe not a phenolic resin, but either way, it's a man-made material. It looks like ebony, but it's man-made. Why is that important? With the stainless steel frets, with the nice polish ends, you don't get a whole lot of fret shrinkage. I've heard people tell me that they've gotten some of these Richlite guitars and the frets still poke out. That is very strange to me because I don't know what would cause the Richlite to shrink. So I've never experienced it myself, is what I'm trying to say. I've never had a guitar with a Richlite fretboard like this, man-made material, where it shrank, but I definitely believe it has, because I've had more than one people tell me. So Brooks says, abonial? Yeah, believe it or not, Brooks, throughout the iterations of this, a lot of companies would call it abonial, like exactly how you're spelling it. It's a man-made ebony. Obviously, sometimes it was called phenolic fretboards. There was all kinds of terms thrown to it. Richlite, which I believe is a technically different material. I'm not really sure. I would love to learn more about Richlite one day, other than I have some guitars with Richlite. My Godan has Richlite fretboard. This is an actual Richlite branded fretboard, I believe, but you can see some man-made materials, and it would be more of a phenolic resin. This is the bolt-on series, and you have a 5-piece neck with maple, walnut, maple, walnut, maple. And in between those 2 strips of walnut, is 2 very hard to see little strips of what looks like carbon fiber. And then this has the Enduro neck. If you haven't seen this, the neck is not round, it's square. It's almost like the most extreme V. See how you can see the angle? See, it goes up and flat and back the other side. Idea is that you put your thumb here on the back, and then as you go up, it's going to put your hand in the perfect position. Now, this is why I wanted to talk about this particular one. As you know, I have one with, it's behind me, pointing it, there you go. I have one with the True Temperament frets, and I've reviewed one where I had the 6-string one, and it's fantastic. But I believe this is, if you're thinking about Strandberg, if this is something that you just got your curiosity going, maybe you want to put your hands on one, or maybe you want to buy one. Like I said, sometimes you got to buy it to try it. But I would think about 7-string. And even if you're not a 7-string player, sometimes I've always cautioned myself from recommending 7-strings to non-7-string players. But this neck is almost like the perfect neck for a 7-string. It does help you play the 7-string. It does position your hand, I think, in a much better playing position than a traditional 7. Okay, so let's do some playing, shall we? Okay, I'm running through a Paul Reed Smith Archon. I'm going to kick on a little reverb. Let's go ahead and go to the coil split. So if you pull up on this tone control, now you're going to be coil split. Okay, so let's go to the neck pickup. Now what's cool is, I'm going to go to this is going to be more of the vintage voice humbuckers. But again, the one thing about these guitars is how silly light they are. I mean, it's up there with the Parker Flies as being super light, and it really kind of feels good. You can see, I mean, you see how I'm holding this thing. It's like balanced really, really well. When you have the strap on the guitar, it feels fantastic, but just in your lap, the way that they do, if you don't look at it, I'm going to show you again from this view. If you look, the way that it sits, it's just fantastic. It just feels really good in a perfect position. And it's also designed so you can sit on this leg or sit it in this position, and you can sit it almost like a classical player would in your left leg if you're right-handed. So you get a lot of options when you play it. One thing a lot of people didn't like the last couple reviews, they don't put any backplate on their tremolo cavity, and a lot of people said they should paint that black or make it look a little more modern. I don't disagree with that. Of course, there's your compartment for your active battery, which, of course, because they're active pickups, they're the Fishman stuff. Eddie Jr. says the Endure neck is absolutely fantastic. It's definitely a neck that if you love it, you love it. If you don't, obviously it's going to be hard for you to adjust to it. But what I will say is a lot more people than you would imagine, a lot more players than you imagine really do like it, and they adjust to it very quickly. Larry Mitchell says, is that much lighter? Hey, Larry, what's up, buddy? He says, is that much lighter than your Kiesel? It is. So in the Kiesel lineup of headless guitars, I would say the only guitar, besides luck of the draw, right? You can always get a guitar. One of the things, Larry, that they're doing on this guitar to get it so light is it's ash. So let me hit this real quick. So if you go to Guitar View, you can see it's an ash body. So if you go Kiesel and you pick an ash body, which I believe you did on your Kiesel, it will make it much lighter. So it'll be like this. And even if they don't weight relieve it. But like the Tim Miller, I played a bunch of the Tim Miller semi-hollow headless guitars, and they were all like this in the 4.5 and 5 pound range. So it's very light. But the Strandbergs are their own little animal. It's really, Strandbergs are not about headless guitars. They're about Strandbergs. You got to love that weird neck. You got to like, fan fret systems. You got to like all of this that they're doing. And then you got to get past, not everybody, okay? But me, I had to. You have to get past the mental, for the same price as a USA-made Kiesel, you are buying an Indonesian guitar that's made in Cortec. Now, I love Cortec. I'm friends with June, the owner of Cortec. I love Cortec-built instruments. I think like Ibanez Cortec instruments, PRS, G&L tributes. I was even featured. They took a clip of my podcast and featured on their 50th anniversary of saying something to that effect. And so obviously I have a lot of good things to say. But that being said, $2,500 and I can get a custom USA made guitar for about the same price. It was a really hard choice for me. So I really needed Strandberg to win me over, and it did. In my case, the Strandberg that won me over was the True Temperament. Ken wants to know what's the tuning on the 7-string guitar. On this particular one, which would be most common, I just have a low B. And what I will do often, let me share this with you. There's a reason why I like 7 strings besides the chugga chugga low B string. I'm going to show you guys this real quick. Guitar View. Okay, so here is your low B, and then you have E, A, D, G, B, E. And what I like to do sometimes is just go ahead and take and tune the G. I believe that's a F flat. So I'm tuning it the same way I would tune a 6-string. I'm ignoring this high E, okay? So pay attention, that's what I'm doing. This high E to me doesn't exist. Now I'm going to play it like a baritone. And why I like that is sometimes when there's a song and it's in baritone, instead of, because I don't own a baritone, I'll just retune the 7-string real quick and play it. And if I had more songs, if I did more with baritones, I'd probably do more and I own a baritone. But I really like just taking a 7-string real quick, doing the fast tuning adjustment, and then play whatever I'm going to play real quick on a baritone, whether I'm recording something or I'm just wanting to learn something. If you enjoyed this podcast clip, you can watch the entire episode by clicking the link in the description or streaming it on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. You can also join it live every week, Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I hope to see you there. Until next time, know your gear.